A very happy morning, happy afternoon, happy evening based on what time you're watching this lecture. Friends, now let us see the other points of your QRMP scheme and MRMP scheme of your GSTR1 and GSTR3B, which we have most of these points we have already discussed either in our discussion of QRMP scheme, MRMP scheme, or we have already discussed in your master summary 1 and master summary 2. So only few points here will be new points, other points would have been already discussed. Now let us see that. Now first is you are talking about notes for your GSTR1. You are talking about notes, certain important notes for your GSTR1. If you see these notes, what are the details of GSTR1 we have already discussed. So this point is already discussed. Just for your quick revision basis, you should have invoice wise details and consolidated details. Right, whether it is your invoice, tax invoice, or debit note, or credit note, or revised tax invoice, that doesn't makes a difference. Invoice wise details for what? Invoice wise details for your B2B supplies, whether it is interstate or intrastate, and B2C supplies also invoice wise details, but two conditions: it should be interstate plus invoice value should be more than 2.5 lakhs. Other details means if you are talking about B2C interstate, but invoice value is up to 2.5 lakhs. And B2C intrastate, irrespective of invoice value, you have to give consolidated tax invoice for each state. So one line item for each state in the other two cases. So this point we have already discussed. Where we have discussed? We have discussed when we have discussed your QRMP scheme and MRMP scheme. So it's already discussed. Now next point you are talking about filing of your GSTR1 in case of switch over from regular scheme to composition scheme. So when you are switching over from regular scheme to composition scheme, whether it is a GSTR1 or GSTR3B, this point is equally applicable for your GSTR. This point is equally applicable for your GSTR3B. It's not only for GSTR1, it is equally applicable for your GSTR3B. You can file it. So say for example, in financial year 21-22, you are under regular scheme. In financial year 22-23, you opt for composition scheme. Even though in financial year 22-23, right, starting from 1st April 2022, you have gone for composition scheme, you can file your GSTR1 and GSTR3B, which are pending for your regular scheme. This will be discussing again in your composition taxable person, just for understanding purposes. Detailed example will be there under your composition taxable person. Financial year 21-22, financial year 22-23, financial year 21-22, you are talking about your regular scheme. Financial year 22-23, right, starting from 1st April 2022, you have opted for composition scheme. Now what are they trying to tell? There will be few pending GSTR1 as well as GSTR3B of your regular scheme, which you can file in financial year 22-23 even though you are under composition scheme. So this you can file in financial year 22-23. You may file certain GSTR1, GSTR3B beyond the due date. You are talking about late, right? So this you can file even if you are under composition scheme, but you are filing the returns of your regular scheme, late returns or pending returns of your regular scheme. This you can file in the financial year 22-23, though you are under composition scheme. There is a timeline which will be discussed in composition taxable person. So basic point is this, right? So this point is we have discussed now, and it will be discussed with the help of example when you are talking about composition taxable person. I am just giving a reference where we have discussed and where we are going to discuss next. Now next 2 points, friends, are new, which we have not discussed. So these are the new points. Filing of GSTR1 before the end of current tax period. So before the month or quarter ends, can I file my GSTR1? Normally no. So before my month ends, say April month or May month or June month, or before my quarter ends, for QRMP it is quarter, April to June quarter, before that ends, before that period ends, whether it is month or the quarter as the case may be, for MRMP scheme and QRMP scheme respectively, actually I cannot file my GSTR1. But there are exceptions. And friends, what are these exceptions? You are talking about casual taxable person after closure of its business, CTB, and you are talking about cancellation of registration by a regular taxable person. So in these two cases, CTP at the time of closure of business and regular taxable person at the time of cancellation. CTP is temporary registration. The moment its business closes in between a year, it can file GSTR1. And when you're talking about regular taxable person, after cancellation of registration, whatever GSTR1 is pending, it can file before the month or quarter end. So normally, friends, you have to understand that before a month or quarter end, say if it is MRMP scheme, say let us put it as April, or say if it is QRMP scheme, let us put it as April to June, right? So what are they trying to tell? They are telling that before 30th of April in this case, or in QRMP scheme before 30th of June, you cannot file before this time, you cannot file your GSTR1. But they give an exception. They tell that there are exceptions, and they tell that exception for this case are CTP at the time of closure of business and a regular taxable person after cancellation of registration. Friends, at this point of time, I would like to add a point. This is nowhere given in the BAR Act or the legal language. This exceptions we are giving just because it is there in your ICAI material. So if you look out for the BAR Act or any notifications or rules, you don't find this point. So this point we thought a lot whether we should give it or not, but we have MCQs and you may get MCQs. So this point we totally don't agree with this point, because only after the tax period ends you actually can file GSTR1, whether it is casual taxable person even after closure of business, or whether it is regular taxable person even after cancellation of registration. But ICAI has stated that in these two cases GSTR1 you can file. GSTR1 you can file in these two cases even before 30th of April in the first case, or 30th of June in the second case. 30th of April if you are talking about first example MRMP scheme, and 30th of June is the second example when you are talking about your QRMP scheme. So we don't agree with this point in totality, but it is given in an ICAI material. Now the next point. Next point, you are talking about whether you should give description and HSN. See, description and HSN you should give when you are talking about, there will be a line item when you talk about your HSN details. In GSTR1 you have to give HSN details, harmonized system of nomenclature details. You should give that details, and when you are giving that details, you are not required to give invoice wise. You are not required to give invoice wise. Now friends, again here we would like to add a point that when you talk about this point, recently, to be very specific, when you are talking about right from your May 2021, even at the time of giving invoice details in your GSTR1, they are asking for HSN. So this point again needs a refinement in ICAI material. Maybe it will be updated soon for the next batch. But what is the point I am trying to tell? It is said here that invoice wise you need not give HSN. You should give HSN consolidatedly, but things have changed. Now the portal is asking even for invoice wise HSN. So again, like the previous point, we were not in agreement. Why in the previous point? Because previous point there's no reference in BAR Act, it is only ICAI's understanding. This point, it has amended recently in May 2021. When you talk about May 2021 return, you have to give invoice wise HSN. But what this point is telling, you need not give invoice wise HSN, you give consolidated HSN for that particular month. So this requires some change. But yes, as of now, you can, for your exams, you can remember it as you are required to give HSN consolidatedly, not invoice wise, right? And when you talk about HSN, what is the minimum digits of HSN that you should give? Depends on your previous year turnover. So if you have annual turnover in the previous year, if your aggregate turnover in the previous year is up to 5 crores, this is the same thing that we have discussed in your documentation chapter for your HSN on your tax invoice and your bill of supply. So if your previous year aggregate turnover, here they have used the term annual turnover, which has to be understood as aggregate turnover, is up to 5 crores, up to less than or equal to 5 crores. Then if it is B2B supplies, to supply sales to registered person, 4 digits. B2C supplies 4 digits, but it is optional. B2C supplies you may give or you may not give. For B2B it is minimum 4 digits. For B2C you may or may not give, and if you want you can give 4 digits. It is optional. It is optional. And if your aggregate turnover or annual turnover in previous year is more than 5 crores, whether it is B2B or B2C, you have to give 6 digits. So that's the difference. If it is up to 5 crores previous year aggregate turnover, here it is written as annual turnover. Then B2B, surely you have to give minimum 4 digits. B2C, whether or not you give, it is your wish, but if you give, you can give 4 digits. If you want, you can give 4 digits, optional. And when you talk about your previous year annual turnover or aggregate turnover being more than 5 crores, then you have to give 6 digits HSN for both B2B supplies, sales supplies to registered person as well as B2C supplies to unregistered person. Right. Now, if you see notes for GSTR 1, first point and second point, first point was already discussed in QRMP, MRMP scheme. Second point we have discussed and it will be repeated in your composition taxable person. Third and fourth point were new points. Now, when you talk about notes for your invoice furnishing facility, which is applicable only in case of your QRMP scheme, friends, this we have already discussed when we have discussed your QRMP, MRMP scheme. When you talk about your details of your invoice furnishing facility, again it will contain invoice, revised tax invoice, debit note, credit note, same thing. So it will contain invoice, revised tax invoice, debit note, credit note, same thing. But here it is only for B2B. So here you are going to give only B2B supplies details, whether interstate or intrastate. So here the details that you are going to give, is only of B2B supplies, only and only of B2B supplies, registered persons. Even debit note, credit note is only to registered persons. And you have to understand that IAFF is only for first 2 months of a quarter, not for the last month. This we have already discussed in your QRMP, MRMP scheme. So nothing new here. There is no new point here. Friends, next we are talking about notes for your GSTR 3B. What are the details that you should give in GSTR 3B? Normal details, very normal details you are required to give in your GSTR 3B. When you are talking about details of inward supplies, what is your inward supplies? What is your outward supplies? For inward supplies, we will have input tax credit. For outward supplies, we will have tax payable and net tax paid, which means that output tax minus input tax credit will give you net tax to be paid. So very normal details. Inward supplies corresponding input tax credit, outward supplies corresponding gross output tax payable, and output tax payable minus input tax credit will give you net tax paid to be paid in cash ledger. Now, next point is a very important point. You cannot file your GSTR 3B before payment of taxes. Again, this is very important point. So before making the payment of self-assessed tax, portal will not allow you to file your 3B. Self-assessed tax, not whether it is right or wrong, that is not important. You have to pay your self-assessed tax to ensure that you are allowed to file your GSTR 3B. If you have self-assessed tax of 1 lakh, you have to pay 1 lakh by cash ledger, then you have to file your GSTR 3B. I am talking about net tax liability, right? If you have self-assessed net tax liability of say 50,000, whether it is right or wrong, 50,000 may be wrong, but as per your information it is 50,000. You have to pay that, only then GSTR 3B can be filed. So this is a very important point. So when you are talking about every registered person who is filing is written GSTR 3B, whether it is monthly or quarterly, right? He has to pay all his dues, tax, interest, penalty, fees, etc. Basically, interest will not be self-calculated. Whether what you are going to give the details, you have to pay the same. Now, supposing interest liability comes to say, you have filed late and interest liability comes to say 10,000, but you are not showing interest. That is up to you. Whatever you show in your GSTR 3B, you have to pay, then file the return. So, I am again very specifically telling, self-assessed liability, whether right or wrong, whether it may be wrong, interest may be 10,000 but you are not showing anything, it may be wrong, but whatever you are showing in your GSTR 3B, whether it is tax or interest or penalty, etc., late fees will be calculated automatically, but all other details you have to give. That you have to make the payment, only then your GSTR 3B can be filed. When you are making the payment, obviously you can use your cash ledger or credit ledger. So payment is allowed by, first you will try to use your credit ledger. Balance payment you will try to use, you have to pay through your cash ledger. So make the payment, whether by your credit ledger or cash ledger, make the payment, only then your GSTR 3B can be filed. This is a very important point. Now, next, we have discussed about notes for GSTR 1, IAFF and GSTR 3B. Now, certain common notes for both your GSTR 1 and IAFF, GSTR 1 as well as your invoice furnishing facility, common notes. And friends, This we have already discussed when you are talking about your master summary chart. So when you talk about your master summary chart 2, we have already discussed this point. What is this point is telling, try to tell? Normally, if you don't file your previous IFF or previous GSTR1, you can file your next IFF and next GSTR1. It is actually an exception. See, I'll tell the basic point again, just for a quick revision. Normally, if you don't file your previous return, you cannot file your next month's return. But that does not hold good for IFF and GSTR1. Which means that IFF and GSTR1, you can file your November month's IFF and GSTR1 without filing October month's IFF or GSTR1. But there is a restriction on filing your GSTR1 and IFF, which is based on your GSTR3B. So if I were to write in this way, normal returns. So when you are talking about your normal returns, let us take example GSTR3B or GSTR5, etc. Right. So normal returns, what you have to do? If at all you have to first you have to file your say October month's return in order to file your November month's return. So first you need to file October month, only then you can file November month. Without filing previous month, you cannot file next month's return. That is for normal returns. But friends, when you talk about your GSTR1 or your IFF, even if October month's return is not filed, you can directly file November month's return. So this change is there in your GSTR1 and IFF. IFF is, by the way, optional, so that is not important, but GSTR1 is mandatory. Even though it is mandatory, even if you don't file your October months or a particular quarter's GSTR1, you can file next quarter's GSTR1. I have taken the example of monthly basis. So here I have assumed that you are talking about MRMP scheme. The same holds good for QRMP scheme. It will be not month, it will be quarters. Right. Now, but for this, what are they trying to tell? They are telling that, okay, though you are not filing your October month's GSTR1 or IFF, you are allowed to file November month's GSTR1 or IFF, but there is a restriction which is based on your GSTR3B. Now this restriction is not based on the same type of return. This restriction is based on a different type of return. So if you are not filing 3B, then you are not allowed to file GSTR1 IFF. So normally it is 1-to-1 restriction. So if you want to file 3B of November, file 3B of October. If you want to file GSTR5 of November, file that of October. It's the same type. But here for GSTR1 IFF, you can file November month's GSTR1 or IFF without filing October month's GSTR1 IFF. But if at all you are not filing 3B for a particular time, then you are not allowed to file GSTR1 or IFF. Now what is that time? This point time also we have discussed in a very simple manner. So when you talk about rule 86B, 1%, we are going to discuss about that 1% payment. Rule 86B is applicable. Rule 86B is not applicable. What is Rule 86B? Restriction on ITC. As of now, understand that. It is a restriction on input tax credit, which you already discussed in your ITC chapter. 1% output tax has to be paid by your cash ledger. Minimum 1% output tax has to be paid by your cash ledger. If Rule 86B is applicable, then whether it is QRMP scheme or MRMP scheme, if you have not filed your previous month or quarter GSTR3B is not filed, then you cannot file GSTR1 of the current month or quarter, current period. But when Rule 86B is not applicable, then friends, you have to bifurcate. If it is QRMP scheme and if it is MRMP scheme. If it is QRMP scheme, again the same answer. So in three scenarios the answer remains the same. Where Rule 86B is applicable, where your Rule 86B is applicable, and it is QRMP scheme or MRMP scheme, whatever it is. Where Rule 86B is not applicable, but it is QRMP scheme. In that scenario, previous 1 month GSTR3B is not filed, then you cannot file your GSTR1 or IFF. But if it is a special scenario, what is that special scenario, friends? that special scenario is 86B is not applicable. 86B is not applicable, and if it is MRMP scheme, in that case the language changes. The language is previous 2 months. Now it is 2 months. Previous 2 months GSTR 3B is not filed. Previous 2 months GSTR 3B is not filed. In this scenario they are telling that if it is last 2 months GSTR 3B is not filed, only then, only in that scenario you cannot file your GSTR 1 or IFF. You cannot file your GSTR 1 or IFF. So in 3 cases the answer remains the same. What are the 3 cases? 86B applicable QRMP scheme, 86B applicable MRMP scheme, 86B not applicable QRMP scheme. In all these 3 cases answer remains the same. Previous 1 month, when I am not mentioning anything, it is previous 1 month or 1 quarters, whatever it is, based on previous return was monthly or quarterly, 3B is not filed. But if it is 86B not applicable and MRMP scheme, then previous 2 months GSTR 3B is not filed. Then this restriction, what is this restriction? That you cannot file your GSTR 1 and IFF. So this point was actually already discussed in your master summary chart. Now again the last notes that we have is common notes for both GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. Common notes for your GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. Right, again the first point was already discussed in your first point, and second point was already discussed in your master summary charts, master summary 2 charts, both the points. Can you file, should you file your nil return? Basically there are few cases, I mean most of the cases you have to file your nil returns, except few. We are not discussing about except few, already discussed. But when you talk about your GSTR 1, GSTR 3B, CMP 04 or GSTR 4 etc., that you have to file even if your return is nil. So normal analysis, normal understanding is even if there are no transactions, you are required to file nil returns. True. Exceptions are there, let us not discuss about it, we have already discussed them. Now there is a facility given that few nil returns you can file by SMS facility. What are those few nil returns that you can file by SMS facility? Your GSTR 1, GSTR 3B and CMP 08. So here we are discussing only about your GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. So when you talk about your nil GSTR 1 or nil GSTR 3B, you can use your SMS facility. You will be getting an SMS in your registered mobile number on the portal, and you have to verify by OTP. You can file your nil GSTR 1 and nil GSTR 3B by SMS facility. Rather, there are only 3 cases where you can file your nil returns by SMS facility: GSTR 1, GSTR 3B and CMP 08. All other nil returns that you have to file, you have to log on to the portal. And what is a nil return? It means you don't have any entry in all the tables. No table should contain even single paisa, no entry at all. Right. Now rectification, next point also we have discussed in your master. Rectification in GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B, we have also already discussed. If there is a mistake in GSTR 1, GSTR 3B, you can rectify in the month or quarter in which you identify, in which you notice or in which you identify. You can rectify that in that payment, and if that results in short payment of tax, you can make the payment. And what is the last date when you have to rectify? Again another point, you cannot do rectification if officer has found the same. Rectification not possible due to scrutiny, audit, inspection or enforcement. So this point is not there for your GSTR 1. This point is there only for your 3B and not there for GSTR 1. A very small difference, not so important difference. Right. Basically, can you do rectification of error or omission in your GSTR 1, GSTR 3B? Yes. And you have to do omission or error, you have to rectify that on your own. That error or omission should not have been found by the departmental officer at the time of scrutiny, audit, inspection or enforcement activities. Now this point, that it should not be found by departmental officers or tax authorities at the time of scrutiny, audit, inspection or enforcement, is that given only for 3B, not given for 1. So there's a small difference, not much important difference. And friends, what is the last date for doing that correction? We have already discussed with the help of example. Due date of September month return. If it is monthly, September month return. If it is quarterly, end of the September quarter, right? So due date of September month return of next financial year or actual date of annual return of that financial year. We have already discussed that in your master summary chart. So due date of September, supposing it is financial year 21-22. So due date of September 2022 return, whether it is monthly or quarterly. right? Because quarter will be ending on September. Or you're talking about actual date of annual return of financial year 21-22, whichever is earlier. Before that point of time, you have to rectify the mistakes in 1 and 3B. 1 and 3B. Right, for 1, they have given slightly differently. Instead of due date, they have given the actual date of filing of September month return, and rectification in 1 is linked with the filing of GSTR 3B. So, rectification in 1 is not linked with filing of your GSTR 1, it is linked with filing of your GSTR 3B. So, both these rectification. So, whether you have to rectify it in 1 or 3B, you are going to see September month return 3B, not 1. So, whether you have to rectify the details in 1 or 3B, you will be rectifying in 1 or 3B of the month in which you have noticed, but the last date is based on GSTR 3B of September month. So, that you have to understand. This you have already discussed in your master summary chart. And friends, the last point here, rounding off. Now, rounding off, you are not going to require to do rounding off both in GSTR 1 as well as GSTR 3B. 2 decimals you always can give, both in 1 and 3B. Even in 3B, you are going to give 2 decimals. Only thing is, when you are making the payment while 3B, while filing your 3B, that will be rounded off. Friends, understand that both in GSTR 1 as well as GSTR 3B, you can give up to 2 decimals digits. But at the time of payment, this rounding off will be done only and only at the time of payment. That rounding off to nearest rupee 1 will be done. So, don't think that rounding off will be done in the tables of GSTR 3B. No, in GSTR 1 as well as GSTR 3B, no need of rounding off. You can give up to 2 digits decimal points, and when you are making the payment, it will be rounded off to nearest rupee 1. Right, that is all about the notes, all these notes. And friends, one small last part which is left out when you are talking about your regular taxable person and your casual taxable person is about inward supplies. Friends, if you remember, in our entire discussion, it was all about GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. 1 for outward supplies, 3B is the main return containing output tax as well as input tax return. Now, you will be getting the details of inward supplies, that is your purchases, in a return called as GSTR 2A. You are not going to file it. Mind you, it is not like 1 and 3B. 1 and 3B, you have to file it. About your outward supplies, that is sales, and about your net liability, output tax, input tax, everything. 2A or 4A or 6A or 2B, you are talking about inward supplies. You are not going to file it. You are going to see it automatically on your portal, whatever inward supplies or purchases you have. And with that, you have to analyze it, you have to compare it with your books of accounts. Right. So, there is a difference. So, when you talk about this particular point, inward supplies, it is section 38 read along with rule 60. Nevertheless, I have mentioned only rule 60 because section 38 is not effective, but rule 60 provisions are applied. Section 38 read along with rule 60. Now, here we are going to talk about GSTR 2A, which is there for your regular taxable person, casual taxable person. 4A for composition taxable person, 6A for input service distributor. 2A and 2B are for same type of persons. 2A as well as 2B is for your regular taxable person as well as casual taxable person, but there is a small difference. That's a difference that we'll discuss. Otherwise, 2A and 2B is for same type of people, that is regular taxable person and casual taxable person. 2A is dynamic, it keeps changing. 2B is static, it remains the same as on a particular date. Now, 4A is for composition taxable person. Right, so let me write composition, otherwise composition taxable person, and 6A is for input service distributor. Are these people going to do something with this 2A, 2B or 4A, 6A? No, they are just going to see their inward supplies and compare it with their books of accounts. So, that is the entire or the whole objective. Now, again, to make things simple, we will have a differentiation chart, compare it, discuss most of the points, and whatever is the leftover point you will be seeing through the notes. Very simple analysis. Again, I will tell at the cost of repetition, I am going to tell that it is not like your 1 and 3B, you are not going to file it. No filing. No filing. You are going to just view it. You are going to just view it and compare it with your books of accounts. So, that you have to remember. Now, on the left hand side, the comparison table, it is given as 2A, 4A, 6A. Right, basically 2A is for your regular taxable person or casual taxable person, and 4A is for your composition taxable person, and when you are talking about 6A, it is for your input service distributor, ISD, input service distributor. Right. When you talk about GSTR 2B, 2B is only and only for your regular taxable person or casual taxable person. It is only for that particular point. Now, the main difference between 2A and 2B. Now, let us forget about 4A and 6A, because 4A and 6A is for special people where you don't have it in your GSTR 2B opposite side. So, 4A, 6A will be for composition taxable person and input service distributor specifically. So, let us forget about that. Let us focus only on GSTR 2A versus GSTR 2B. 2A versus GSTR 2B. GSTR 2A versus GSTR 2B. When you talk about GSTR 2A, it is dynamic. What is meant by dynamic? It keeps changing. It keeps getting updated, and it will show the details of inward supplies as and when it is downloaded. Which means, supposing my April month return has been filed, all the suppliers have filed my April month return, and I want to see my GSTR 2A of April month. If I download it on 12th April, I may get a particular numbers. If I am downloading it on 15th of April, I may get more invoices. See, not all the suppliers would have filed their returns on say 12th of April. So, those suppliers who are filing it on say 13th, 14th, 15th, right? When I download it on 15th, I will be getting the details of them also. It keeps changing. So, the date when I am downloading, they will compare which all suppliers have filed their GSTR 1 or IFF as the case may be, and my GSTR 2A will increase. My GSTR 2A will increase. It keeps getting updated. Whereas GSTR 2B is static. It remains the same, and it will show the details of inward supplies as on which date? As on the due date of GSTR, as on the due date of IFF or GSTR 1, whichever is later for the first 2 months of a quarter, and the due date of GSTR 1 for the third month of the quarter. If it is say first 2 months of the quarter, April and May, so due date of GSTR 1 or due date of IFF, whichever is later, not earlier, whichever is later. So, it will allow everyone to file their, all the suppliers to file their GSTR 1 or IFF, whichever is later, and I will be getting that information. And if it is third month, due date of GSTR 1, due date of GSTR 1. So, that is how it is going to be, showing. Now, if I want to understand it, supposing let us take the case of April. Let us take the case of say April 2022. Right. Let us assume that if it is first 2 months, it is due date of GSTR 1 or IFF, whichever is later. So, due date of IFF or due date of GSTR 1, whichever is later. Due date of IFF comes to say 13th May, and due date of GSTR 1, say it is coming as, it is showing it as monthly 10th of May. Right. I have not considered the extensions given by the commissioner. Right. So, here whichever is later will give you 13th of May. Whichever is later will give you 13th of May. So, what is going to happen? Now, till 13th of May, few of my suppliers would have filed their GSTR 1 or IFF, because my suppliers may be under QRMP scheme or MRMP scheme. So, I don't have control. Right. So, basically, it is details of, when I talk about details of inward supplies, my purchases, I should depend on my suppliers to file their sales, GSTR 1 or IFF, outward supplies. Now, till 13th of May, let us assume that I am getting a particular figure. So, till as on 13th of May, I am downloading. So, when I am downloading GSTR 2A and GSTR 2B on 13th of May, so say for example, it is showing a particular number, right? I am just taking a number for say CGST, SGST or IGST as the case may be. It will show say 10 lakhs. Obviously, it will show entire details, taxable value, CGST, SGST or taxable value, IGST. It will give the entire details. We are ignoring that, just we are focusing on the number. It will show 10 lakhs. Now, if I download it later, say 20th of May, and between 13th of May and 20th of May, few of my suppliers have again filed their GSTR 1 or IFF. So, only few of my suppliers have filed their GSTR 1 or you are talking about IFF. I will be getting a particular date, rather I will make this date as 14th, because after 13th is over, next day 14th. So, when you talk about details of inward supplies, as on that day, but when downloaded on 14th. So, downloading is happening on 14th. Downloading on 14th, next day. After the due date is over, next day I am downloading it. On 20th of May, when I download, supposing I am downloading my GSTR 2A and GSTR 3B on 20th of May. Again, 2B will remain the same 10 lakhs. But 2A may increase to say 12 lakhs, which means few of my suppliers have filed their GSTR1 or IFF, as the case may be, between 14th of May to 20th of May. During that time they have filed it. So if you see this example, it shows very clearly that when you talk about 2B, whether it is downloaded on 14th May, next day after the due date of IFF or GSTR1, whichever is later, or whether it is filed on, whether it is downloaded on 20th of May, later, it will have the same amount, 10 lakhs. What amount it will have? It will have the amount as on the due date of GSTR1 or IFF, which is later, for the first 2 months of the quarter, and if it is third month of the quarter, as on due date of GSTR1, it will have that amount. But when I download GSTR2A on 14th of May, 2A to B will be the same, but if I download it on 20th of May, my 2A may change. It will increase generally, it may decrease also in case of additional credit notes. Normally it will increase. So few other suppliers. So what is the understanding here? The understanding here is between this 14th of May and 20th of May, few of my suppliers, when I am talking about my inward supplies purchase or purchases, what details I will get? I will get the details which my suppliers have filed in their GSTR1 or GSTR1 or IFF. Few of my suppliers have filed their GSTR1 or IFF after the due date, filed their GSTR1 or IFF after the due date, after 14th of May. So that is this understanding, right? So this is the basic difference that you have to understand. GSTR 2A versus GSTR 2B. 2A is dynamic, it keeps changing. When you download, as on that date, what is the information it will give. But 2B is static. On a particular date, that information was there. Whether you download on that date or a later date, it will show you the same amount. So that was a very important point. Another important thing, when you're talking about claiming ITC, when you're claiming your input tax credit, claim of input tax credit as per Rule 36 Sub Rule 4. It is based on GSTR 2B and not on GSTR 2A. Right, earlier circular said that you have to download 2A. Earlier there was no 2B, you have to download 2A as on the due date. Many suppliers did not, many recipients did not download it on a particular, on that due date, because if they download it later, they will get more credit. Right, to tackle this, government brought in GSTR 2B. Actually, GSTR 2B's birth is only and only for your claim of input tax credit in Rule 36(4). Otherwise, earlier government said that on the due date you download 2A and that is the basis for claiming credit. But the taxable registered persons, regular taxable person and casual taxable person, they downloaded it later so that they will get extra credit. And you cannot, and 2A was such that if I download it on 18th, I cannot see what was my 2A figure on 10th. I don't have an option. That is the reason they brought in GSTR 2B, so that claim of input tax credit as per Rule 36(4), whatever is available in GSTR 2B plus a particular percentage. Right, initially it was 20, then 10, and now it is 5% based. GSTR 2B plus a particular percentage is based on 36(4), Rule 36(4), claiming of input tax credit is based on GSTR 2B, not based on GSTR 2A. So the birth of GSTR 2B itself was for Rule 36 Sub Rule 4 for claiming input tax credit. Otherwise, 2B was not at all required. 2A contains much more information than 2B. Right. Now, you have to understand that for whom you are talking about 2A to B. 2A to B, you are talking about regular taxable person, casual taxable person. Both 2A as well as 2B. Right. So when you are talking about your inward supplies, you have to think from the angle of recipient. Right. Now, what will part A? 2A contains 4 parts. 2A contains 4 parts. Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D. First of all, you are talking about whom? You are talking about recipient being regular taxable person or casual taxable. Supposing if I am the recipient, I should be regular taxable person or casual taxable person. Only then I will have 2A as well as 2B. 2A will contain what? My inward supplies, my purchases in 4 parts. Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D. If I have purchased from another person who is also regular taxable person or casual taxable person, I'll get that information in part A. Right, the opposite person who's RTP, SCTP, he'll file GSTR1 or IFF. I may even purchase from NRTP. Again, that information, that NRTP supplier will file GSTR file. I'll get that information in part A. So my part A will contain purchases made from another regular taxable person or another casual taxable person, or purchases made from NRTP. So if it is another regular taxable person or casual taxable person, I'll get the details in part A based on their GSTR1 or IFF, and if it is NRTP, I'll get the information in my part A of GSTR2A based on his GSTR file. Now the credits which is coming from my head office is input service distributor. That head office is filing GSTR 6. So if the credit is from my head office is booking the common credit of common input services and passing it to the branches having the same PAN, then it will come and sit in part B. And if it is TDS and TCS, so if I have my supplier or my eco, right, supplier or government, if I have my recipient as government, they will be deducting TDS. If I am supplying through eco will be collecting TCS. So that information I'll get in part C, TDS and TCS. The opposite party would have filed GSTR 7, GSTR 8. And if I have imported the goods or if I have purchased from special economic zone, there will be customs duty. So IGST portion on import of goods, customs duty will be there, but IGST portion only we are talking about, or IGST portion on purchase of goods from special economic zone unit or developer. In that case, in both these cases, whether I am importing the goods from outside India or purchasing from special economic zone unit or developer, there will be customs duty, and IGST portion of customs duty I can take the credit. That will come in part D. Now friends, you have to understand that whatever is coming in 2A, basically the same thing will come in 2B, but 2A is dynamic, 2B is static, that we have discussed. Now small differences also will be there. In 2B you don't get TDS and TCS information, all the other details remains the same. In 2B you don't get TDS and TCS information. So purchases from another regular taxable person, casual taxable person, you will get. Purchases from NRTP you will get. Your credit from input service distributor will get. IGST paid on import of goods or IGST paid on purchase of goods from special economic zone unit or developer by filing a bill of entry, you will get everything. So difference is you don't have TDS or TCS information in GSTR 2B. Otherwise 2A and 2B data will be the same, information will be the same. 2A is dynamic, 2B is static. So 2B, whether you download on after that timeline or much later, you will be getting the same amount. 2A will give you the data as on the date when you are downloading GSTR 2A. So this is another difference that you have. So if you are to understand 2A, so first of all you have to freeze that you are a recipient and you are a regular taxable person or a casual taxable person. And if you purchase from another regular taxable person or another casual taxable person, then things will be different. If you are purchasing from NRTP, then things are different. If your head office is giving you the credit, then things are different. If there is TDS or TCS deducted against you, which will come and sit in your cash ledger, TCS collected against you, which will come and sit in your cash ledger, again it will come. And when you are talking about your IGST paid on import or purchase from special economic zone, right? So what you have to understand, they will be RTP, CTP will be filing something and you will be getting the information, likewise NRTP, likewise ISD, likewise TDS, TCS, likewise IGST paid on import of goods. You will be paying the import duty. Rather, when you talk about import of goods or purchases from special economic zone, you are the person who is paying import duty, but you will be paying entire customs duty or import duty, and you will be getting the credit only of IGST portion. Now you have to understand that regular taxable person or casual taxable person will file their GSTR1 or IFF, and you will be getting that in your GSTR 2A or 2B, right? NRTP will be filing their GSTR 5 and you will be getting that information in GSTR 2A or 2B. ISD will be filing the editors in GSTR 6, and that same information you'll be getting in GSTR 2A or 2B. TDS TCS will be filed by the deductor or collector in GSTR 7 or GSTR 8, but that information you will be getting only in GSTR 2A, you will not be getting in 2B. The only reason is when you talk about this TDS TCS, this comes and sits in your cash ledger. This actually comes and sits in your cash ledger. It will come and sit in cash ledger. All the other information, whether it is the first case or the second case or the third case or the fifth case, in all the other 4 cases, it will come and sit in your credit ledger. So purchases from RTP, CTP or NRTP or ISD or IGST paid, all these will come and sit in your credit ledger. Only TDS and TCS will sit in your cash ledger, and that is the reason. That is the reason TDS TCS information comes only in GSTR 2A but not in GSTR 2B. IGST paid on import of goods or purchases from special economic zone or unit on filing of bill of entry will come both in GSTR 2A as well as 2B. I think I have given you the logic or reasoning also why this TDS and TCS filing by the opposite party 7 and 8 comes only in GSTR 2A but not in GSTR 2B, because that TDS and TCS will come in the recipient's cash ledger, and all the other information 1, 3, 4, 5 will come and sit in the credit ledger, So that you have to understand. Now this is all about your GSTR 2A 2B. Now when you talk about if at all the recipient was a composition taxable person, friends, first you have to understand that composition taxable person cannot take any credit. If the recipient is composition taxable person, he will be getting his inward supplies in GSTR 4A based on the opposite supplier being RTP or CTP. They are filing their GSTR 1 or IFF. So if I am a composition taxable person, first of all I cannot take the credit, right? And what I will be getting in my GSTR 4A is my purchases from a regular taxable person or a casual taxable person who have filed their GSTR 1 or IFF. So there is nothing, why that corresponding information is not there, why you don't have anything called as 4B, because I cannot take any credit, take any credit. And if you are talking about input service distributor, friends, you have to understand that will take the credit, pass on the credit, take the credit, pass on the credit. So if the recipient is input service distributor, then ISD will take the credit and pass on the credit. But how it will get the credit? It will get the credit based on inward supplies from regular taxable person or casual taxable person who are filing their GSTR 1 or IFF as the case may be, right? So ISD will book the credit and pass on the credit to its branches. Obviously it would have taken the goods or services from whom? RTP or CTP. So purchase was from RTP or CTP, which means recipient is ISD, supplier was RTP or CTP, and the suppliers would have filed their GSTR 1 or IFF, and I am getting that information in GSTR 6A. Here friends, ISD is acting as recipient, don't get confused. Here ISD is acting as recipient, so please don't confuse this point with this point. So when ISD is booking the credit, taking the credit, ISD booking the credit, it will get it in its GSTR 6A. When ISD is passing the credit, the branch will get that credit in GSTR 2A or 2B as the case may be. When ISD is booking the credit, ISD will get that amount in GSTR 6A. So that difference you have to understand. Basically, we have completed our analysis of 2A, 4A, 6A in comparison with 2B. Now there is one special point that you have to see. So when you talk about 2B, I said it is static. So then you have to understand a few small points, and I have already said. So if you see this analysis now, 2A, 4A, 6A, we have seen it entirely, nothing is left out. And when you talk about 2B, when you talk about your GSTR 2B, basically we have seen this particular point. Said 2B shall be made available when? A day after. I said day after. 13th means I took 14th of May, because after that date, a day after. If it is first 2 months, due date of IFF or GSTR 1, whichever is later. If it is third month of the quarter, after the due date of GSTR1. So this point you have already discussed. Now how 2B will be updated? So if you look at the example that we have discussed, we had an example. If you look at the example that we have discussed, you have to understand that this extra 2 lakhs, right? Few suppliers have filed their GSTR1 or IFF from 14th May to 20th May. So you have to understand that it gets reflected in GSTR2A but not in 2B of April month. They will be coming in GSTR2B of May month. So it is static. It doesn't mean that it will not include the later information. So if you go back to this example, the focus was entirely on April month. So April month's GSTR2A, if I download it on 14th May or if I download it on 20th May, I'll be getting different answers. 14th May 10 lakhs, 20th May 12 lakhs, because few suppliers have filed their GSTR1 and or IFF between that time. But 2B, but when you can talk about 2B, what happened when you talk about 2B? When I downloaded it on 14th May, it showed 10 lakhs. Even when I downloaded on 20th May, it showed 10 lakhs. It is not changing. Now you may ask, what about those inward supplies or those purchases based on suppliers GSTR1 and IFF that has come? So what about my inward supplies for which suppliers have filed their GSTR1 IFF between 14th May to 20th May? It will come. It will surely come, but it will come in GSTR2B of May. Now that is what is given here. So that understanding you have to have. So this small part is left out. So now let us see this with the help of example so that we will complete this. Supposing if it is monthly GSTR1, then outward supplies contained what I will get in my 2B. So we are talking about based on suppliers filing their GSTR1 or IFF, I will be getting something in my GSTR2B, correct? So what will be I am getting in GSTR2B? If supposing the supplier is filing, supposing the supplier is under MRMP scheme. If my supplier is under MRMP scheme, what information will come in my GSTR2B of that particular month? So if my supplier is under MRMP scheme, right, whatever outward supplies is filing in GSTR1 after the due date of GSTR1 of the previous preceding month till the due date of GSTR1 of the current month, I will be getting in my GSTR2B. Supposing I have a supplier who's under MRMP scheme, he is filing monthly GSTR1. So between the last due date of, between the due date of GSTR1 of the previous month and the due date of GSTR1 of the current month, whatever supplies he is giving, I will be getting in my GSTR2B. Now let us see this. For the month of November, the details of outward supplies filed in GSTR1 by the registered supplies between what? If it is for the month of November, what is the previous month? October. October month's due date. October month's GSTR1 due date is 10th of November. So after the due date, so from 11th of November till the due date of current month's GSTR1, we have taken it as normal due date, forget about extension by the commissioner. 10th of December 2021, I will be getting that information in my GSTR2B. Now if my supplier is under quarterly scheme, he is filing quarterly GSTR1, which means that first month he will be filing IFF, second month he will be filing IFF, last month he will be filing GSTR1. So for the first month of the quarter, second month of the quarter and last month of the quarter. For the first month of the quarter, he will be filing first month and second month he will be filing IFF. My supplier will be filing IFF. Only the last month he will be filing GSTR1. Now see, it's based on a very simple logic. Between the last due date and the current due date, you have to go with. The last due date will be the due date of GSTR1. So if it is first month of the quarter, last month of the previous quarter will be GSTR1. So after the due date of GSTR1 of the preceding quarter till the due date of IFF of the first month. What will be in the second month's case? After the due date of IFF of the preceding month till the due date of IFF of the second month. So between two due dates, between the last due date and the current due date, in a very simple matrix, whether it is monthly GSTR1 or quarterly GSTR1. What if it is last month of the quarter? After the due date of IFF of the second month till the due date of GSTR 1 of the current quarter. See, whatever my suppliers have filed after their previous month's due date till the current month's due date, that will be shown. Whether it is quarterly or monthly GSTR 1, whether it is IFF or GSTR 1, answer remains the same. Between after the due date of the last month till the due date of current month, whatever they have filed, I'll be getting in my GSTR 2B of that particular month. So let me take this with the help of example, master example, so that you need not see all these examples mentioned that. Now let me take a scenario to make you understand in a very simple. I have two suppliers, one is under MRMP scheme and one is under QRMP scheme. So my supplier 1 is under MRMP scheme, my supplier 2 is under QRMP scheme. Right. Now I am talking about I am the recipient and I am going to get the information in GSTR 2B. Assume that you are talking about the month of April 2022. Now the first supplier is going to file, if he is under MRMP scheme, he is going to file GSTR 1 and I am going to get that information in my GSTR 2B. I am going to get that in my GSTR 2B. The second supplier who is under QRMP scheme, for the first month of the quarter, he is going to file IFF and I am going to get that information in my GSTR 2B. Now my first supplier, rather I'll make this more interesting. I have two more suppliers. So that things will be very clear within that one example. I have two more suppliers. Supplier 3, who's again under MRMP scheme, and supplier 4, who's under QRMP scheme. Supplier 1 and supplier 3 will file their GSTR 1 and I'll get that information in my GSTR 2B. Supplier 2 and supplier 4 will file their invoice furnishing facility and I'll get that information in my GSTR 2B. Now when you talk about supplier 1 and supplier 3, now what is that point that they are trying to tell? They are telling that whatever outward supplies they have filed in their GSTR 1, between what time? What is the previous month? Previous month is the month of March. For the month of March, the due date for GSTR 1 was 10th of April. So between 10th of April 2022, what is the due date for current month's GSTR 1? Let us take it as 10th of May 2022. I am not considering the extension given by Commissioner here. So I am going with the due dates given as per the section. So between 10th of April, rather after the due date of previous month. So between 11th of April. So due date, it starts at after the due date of previous month's GSTR 1 or IFF. So after the due date means not 10th of April, 11th of April. Due date is 10th of April, but between 11th April to 10th May. Between 11th April to 10th May, whatever they have filed will come in my GSTR 2B of GSTR 2B of what? GSTR 2B of April 2022. GSTR 2B of April 2022. So this is very important. GSTR 2B of April 2022. Right. Now let us assume that GSTR 1 by supplier 1, GSTR 1 by supplier 1 is filed on, you are talking about say 9th of May. and GSTR1 by supplier 3, who is also filing MRMP, I mean monthly GSTR1 is filed on 13th of May. Now understand this point. Now if my supplier 1 has filed his GSTR1 on 9th of May, he has filed between the timeline. Timeline is after the due date of previous month's GSTR1 till the due date of current month's GSTR1. He has filed within the timeline. When he has filed within the timeline, I am going to get that information in GSTR2B of April 2022 itself. I am going to get that corresponding credit. I am going to get that corresponding credit in GSTR2B of April 2022 itself, because my supplier 1 has filed his GSTR1 within that time limit. Now supplier 3 has filed his GSTR1 on 13th May. Now 13th May means he has not filed between the time limit of after the due date of previous month's GSTR1 till the due date of current month's GSTR1, which is 11th April to 10th May. So he has filed after that. So I am not going to get that information in GSTR2B of April 2022. I am not going to get that. I am going to get that in GSTR2B of May 22. So this point is important. So this I will not be getting in GSTR2B of April 2022. So answer is I will not be getting that information is in 2B of April 2022. But I have to tell that answer. It doesn't mean that it will not be coming. It will be coming, but in GSTR2B of May 2022. Surely it will be coming, but not in April's GSTR2B, but in May month's GSTR2B. Right. So this you have to understand. And likewise, again we have to analyze. This was for supplier 1 and supplier 3, both going under MRMP scheme. Now you are talking about supplier 2 and supplier 4, both under QRMP scheme. First of all, you have to set the deadline between what time they have to file, so that I get the 2B, I get that information in 2B of the current month. They have to file between the after the last month's or quarter's due date till the current month's or quarter's due date. Things are simple. So if at all, if it is IFF of April month, understand IFF of April month means if these suppliers would have filed quarterly GSTR1 then for Jan to March. So the previous quarter is Jan, Feb, March, and they would have filed their GSTR1, and that due date is, again I am going with the due date given by the section, not by the commissioner, because by commissioner has been given extension till 13th of after the end of the quarter. So I am not going by that. I am going with the section's due date. Section's due date is that previous quarters Jan to March GSTR1 would have been filed, should have been filed on or before 10th of April. So I am starting from 11th April. Again I am telling that I am going with section's due date. If I was going with extension due date, the pattern of extension given by the commissioner, I would have taken here for monthly, I would have taken here 12th April 2022 to 11th May, because for monthly GSTR1 the extension pattern is 11th, and here instead of 11th I would have written 14th April. So I am not going by that pattern of extension given by the commissioner. I am going with the timeline which is given in the section. So that you have to understand. Again, coming back to the due dates. So if I am talking about April month, the previous month's return would be GSTR1, because Jan and Feb it will be IFF, March it will be GSTR1. So that due date is 10th of next month. So information will be after the due date of the previous return, 11th of April, to the due date of current month's return. Current month they are filing IFF, current month they are not filing their GSTR1. So the IFF due date is 13th of May 2022. This is IFF. And what if we would have discussed about, assume that if we are discussing about May 2022, then the timeline would have been 14th of May, previous month is April, that person would have filed IFF, the due date is 13th May, so it will start from 14th May 2022 to the current month is May, current month May also I will be filing IFF, that is on 13th June 2022. So likewise you have to go in both these cases, it will be IFF. So previous returns due date, after you have to start after the due date of previous return, whether it is GSTR1 or IFF, you have to decide, till the due date of current return, whether it is GSTR1 or IFF, you have to decide. Now coming back to this example here again, between this timeline, if they are filing, I will be getting in my GSTR 2B of April month. Assume that you are talking about supplier 2 filing his IFF on 11th May, which means he has filed on time. So when he is filing his IFF on 11th May, he has filed between 11th April 2022, 13th May 2022, he has filed on time. So I will be getting in my GSTR 3B of what? GSTR 2B of April 2022 itself. Why? Supplier 2 has filed his IFF within that timeline. What was the timeline? Previous returns due date, after the due date of previous return till the due date of current return, whatever it is, whether it is GSTR1 or IFF, right? So based on that you have to go. Now assume that supplier 4 has filed his IFF on 18th May, which means supplier 4 has filed his IFF after the due date. Supplier 4 has filed his IFF after the due date. Whether I will get that information in 2B of April month, I will not be getting that information in 2B of April 2022. Why? Because it is not filed within that timeline, but I will be getting that information in GSTR 2B of May 2022. So now this supplier 4 has filed his IFF after the due date of the current month, so I will not be getting that information in GSTR 2B of April month, but I will be getting that information in GSTR 2B of May 2022. So that is how you have to understand. Friends, things are very simple. Supplier filing his outward supplies, whether in GSTR1 or IFF, right? How to remember? After the due date of previous return, whether that is 1 or IFF, forget about it. After the due date of previous return till the due date of current return, whether 1 or IFF, between that time limit, whatever he is filing, I will be getting that information in my GSTR 2B. And if he is filing after that due date, I will be getting in my GSTR 2B, but not of that month, but of the next month. So that you have to understand. That is what is given. So this completes our entire discussion about your 2A 2B comparison was done, and even special information about your GSTR 2B.